The dress was my armor. Midnight blue chiffon that fell to my knees and moved like liquid smoke when I turned. I had saved for months, hiding tips from the diner in a loose floorboard under my bed. Slipping it on, the soft fabric felt like a promise. For a fleeting moment, staring into the cracked mirror on my closet door, I wasn't just a girl from a house that smelled of stale cigarettes and disappointment. I was a dancer, someone who belonged under the bright, unforgiving lights of a stage. I should have known better than to believe it for even a second. I took a deep breath and walked out of my room, my worn-out sneakers replaced by the soft slippers I'd wear for warm-ups. The living room was thick with the usual morning gloom. My mother was scrolling on her phone, her face illuminated by the cold blue light, while my dad watched a blaring sports show, a can of beer already sweating in his hand. It wasn't even 8 in the morning. His eyes landed on me, and a slow, mocking whistle cut through the air. "Wow, look at you," he drawled, his voice thick with contempt. "Trying to dress like you're someone important." "It's for the recital, Dad," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. My hand smoothed down the chiffon, a nervous habit. "We're supposed to be there early for warm-ups." This recital was everything. It was the audition for a full scholarship to a performing arts college 2 states away, my one-way ticket out of this house, away from them. "You mean you're gonna go and embarrass yourself in front of strangers?" he said, leaning forward, his smirk widening. "But hey, at least your legs work for now." I didn't understand what he meant until I tried to walk past him toward the front door. It happened in a flash, a blur of motion too quick to process. One moment I was moving toward my future, the next his heavy work boot shot out, sweeping both my legs from under me. My knee hit the hardwood floor with a sickening, sharp crack. Pain, white hot and blinding, exploded up my thigh. A gasp tore from my throat as I grabbed the arm of the dusty couch to keep from collapsing completely. The room spun. Through the haze of agony, I saw him leaning back, a triumphant grin spreading across his face, the kind a bully wears after landing a cheap shot. "Now they match your life," he said, his voice casual, almost bored, broken. My mother didn't even look up from her phone. She just sipped her coffee and added, "Well, maybe you can limp through your little show. They might give you pity points." The sting of their cruelty burned hotter than the fire in my knee. They didn't just not care about my one chance. They actively wanted to destroy it. Every drop of sweat, every aching muscle from months of practice, every secret, hopeful dream I had dared to nurture, it was all for this day, and they had tried to shatter it with a single lazy kick. I pushed myself up, my body trembling, ignoring the throbbing that pulsed with every beat of my heart. I walked to the door without another word, but inside, something had shifted. It wasn't just hurt anymore. It was a cold, hard resolve. I knew right then that no matter what happened next, I was done letting them write my story. The walk to the community center was an eternity. Every step sent a fresh wave of agony through my right knee. Through the glass doors, I could see them, the other dancers, fluid and graceful as they warmed up, their parents watching from the sidelines, faces beaming with pride, holding flowers and cameras, a world away from mine. I limped through the entrance, my small dance bag clutched in my hand. The receptionist's friendly face creased with concern. "Are you all right, dear?" "Just tripped," I lied, forcing a smile. "I'm fine." I wasn't fine. My leg was swelling, tight and hot against the skin. Every stretch was a battle against the pain, making me grit my teeth until my jaw ached. But telling the organizers would mean being pulled from the performance. I couldn't let that happen. I had come too far. Backstage was a chaotic whirlwind of sequins, hairspray, and nervous energy. My friend Delilah rushed over, her eyes widening when she saw me carefully adjusting the knee wrap I'd hidden in my bag. "What happened?" she whispered, her voice laced with dread. "Home," I said, and that one word was enough. Her expression hardened with the quiet rage she knew all too well, but she didn't press for details. My slot was last, the closer, One by one, the other dancers took the stage, their movements effortless under the warm lights. Polite, encouraging applause followed each performance. Then, the stagehand called my name. I stepped into the light, my heart pounding. The audience was a sea of blurred faces, but I found them instantly. My parents in the back row, just as I knew they would be. Dad sat with his arms crossed, a bored expression on his face. Mom was texting, not even bothering to look up. The music started, a haunting, beautiful melody that I had practiced to 1,000 times in our tiny living room. I forced my body to move. Each turn, each leap sent a jolt of sharp pain through my injured knee. I pushed through it, channeling the agony into the performance. The audience wasn't here to see my pain. They were here to see art, and I was determined to give it to them, even if it broke me. Halfway through my routine, the pain spiked so intensely that I nearly buckled. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. I caught myself, my muscles screaming in protest, and pushed forward, pouring every last ounce of my strength into the final notes. My last pose felt like it stretched for an eternity, my entire body trembling, my chest heaving for air. Then came the applause. It was loud, thunderous, stronger than I had ever expected. People were standing. I bowed deep, swallowing the lump of emotion that had formed in my throat. But then I heard it. A voice cutting through the applause, just loud enough to carry. Guessed the limp was part of the act. It was my dad. A few heads turned toward the sound. My face burned with humiliation. My mom laughed beside him, shaking her head as if I was the most pathetic creature she had ever seen. I held my bow for a moment longer, my gaze locked on them, then walked off the stage as calmly as I could, my dignity my only shield. Back in the dressing room, I stared at my reflection. My makeup was smudged and sweat plastered my hair to my temples, but the person staring back wasn't a failure. She was a survivor. The scholarship judge, a tall, elegant woman with kind eyes, came in holding a clipboard. She had beautiful technique, she said warmly, but I could tell you were in pain. If you'd like to reschedule for a private audition, I will make sure you get one. Her kindness was a dam breaking. I could only nod, my voice caught in my throat as I accepted the business card she offered. When I walked out of the center, my parents were waiting by their old dented car. "Well," Dad said with a smirk, "guess you proved me wrong. You can still dance with a busted leg. Not well, but still." Mom chimed in, "Good thing you don't have to worry about that college now. Saves us all the trouble." And that's when it all clicked into place with perfect, horrifying clarity. They didn't want me to fail because they thought I couldn't succeed. They wanted me to fail because they needed me to stay small, to stay trapped, to stay under their control forever. I got into the backseat without a word. My mind no longer on their insults. It was on the business card in my bag and on the new plan that was beginning to form. A plan that wasn't just about dancing anymore. It was about freedom. I called the judge the very next morning. My voice was calm and steady as I scheduled the private audition in a studio 2 towns over. No audience, no whispers, no one to watch me but the woman who held my future in her hands. I poured my soul into that performance. Every movement was sharper, every emotion more raw than before. When I finished, she didn't clap. She just stood and walked toward me. "You're in," she said simply. Full scholarship.
But my plan wasn't just to leave. Leaving quietly would feel like I was running away. No, I needed them to watch me go. I needed them to see me walk away on the very legs my father had tried to break. At home, I became a ghost. I offered no reaction to their taunts, no flinch at their cruelty. I moved my things out piece by piece. My costumes, my savings, every small treasure that meant something to me. They never noticed. The night I chose was a dinner with their friends, the ones they were always so desperate to impress. Halfway through the meal, Dad shot his usual smirk across the table. "So, are you done with that little dancing hobby yet? Or should we start looking for wheelchairs in advance?" The table chuckled nervously. I smiled, a calm, genuine smile. "Actually," I said, my voice clear and carrying across the table. "I got into a full scholarship program. I'm moving next week." The silence was absolute. Forks froze midair. My mother's smile shattered. "A scholarship? For you?" "Yes," I said, looking directly at her. "They called me exceptional. I guess they didn't see the waste of time you've been telling everyone about." I let the words hang in the air before pulling a small, crisp envelope from my bag. Inside was my acceptance letter and an invitation to my first national competition. I slid it across the table toward my father. "Front row seats, if you can afford them." His jaw tightened, his face turning a dark shade of red. "You think you're better than us now?" I leaned forward, my voice dropping to a near whisper that only they could hear. "No, I know I am." I stood, thanked their stunned friends for the lovely dinner, and walked out the door. I never went back. Months later, at that national competition, I saw them. They hadn't bought the tickets. They were standing at the very back of the vast auditorium, two small, insignificant figures in the shadows. I danced, not for the judges, not for the crowd, but for me. Every step was deliberate, every movement a declaration of my freedom. When the standing ovation came, a roaring wave of sound, I didn't look at the cheering crowd. I looked straight at them. Their faces were pale, their mouths tight with a rage that could no longer touch me. For the first time in my life, they looked small. I bowed, rose, and turned my back on them, just as they had always done to me. And I kept walking, my legs strong and sure, carrying me farther away than they could ever have imagined.